Thank you, everybody, Your Eminence, and I'm very honored to be here. Professor Ricardo said we should be ourselves, so I'll be my nervous self. And I want to talk about the elimination of poverty and zero hunger from the perspective of the harmony between human beings and nature. And I'm taking this into a trialogue, maybe not a dialogue, by comparing two ancient traditions, the Jewish Old Testament and the ancient Chinese philosophy of Confucianism, and we'll tie it to today if time allows it. So the Torah teaches us that God created the entire world in 6 days, while on the seventh day of creation, God rested from all of the work he had done. The order of creation places humankind at the end of the chain. First, inanimate objects such as lightness and dark, the sky, the land, and the seas. Next was the vegetation, plants, and trees were created, followed by the creation of celestial bodies. God then proceeded to create the myriad creatures, such as birds, insects, and bugs, followed by bigger animals of every kind. After each animal was created, came the turn of humankind. Thus the scripture reads, "Then God said, let us make humankind in our image, according to our likeness, and let them have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the birds of the air, over the cattle, over all earth, and over every creeping thing that creeps upon the earth." Humankind, referred in Hebrew as Adam, is made in God's image, is described as something that comes from the dust of the earth, Adamah. According to the Old Testament, every person shares a likeness to the divine, although the physical origin of humankind is the dust of the earth. The apparent duality in the story of creation of humankind led Jewish sages to comment on the clashing aspects of human superiority and inferiority in relation to nature. An ancient homily dated between the 4th and 6th century CE reads, "And the Spirit of God hovered over the face of water. This is the spirit of the Messianic King. If man merit," he is told, "you preceded the ministering angels. And if not," he is told, "a fly preceded you, a knot preceded you, a snail preceded you." The Old Testament continues to describe humankind's important role in cultivating and keeping the land. After man was created, we are told that God placed him in a magnificent garden east of Eden to till it and keep it. Thus, the human dominion over earth does not entail the right to exploit, subsume, and destroy the lands and its inhabitants, but rather to cultivate and protect animals and natures, and ultimately to maintain a harmony of man and nature. Although the Torah allows us to utilize nature and animals for human needs, such as food, shelter, and agriculture, at the same time it safeguards nature and animals by prohibiting unnecessary suffering to animals and the unnecessary destruction of natural values. It urges us to strike a fine balance between respecting and protecting nature and utilizing nature for our needs, important as such needs may be. Now, in Confucian, the harmony between human beings and nature in Confucian philosophy promotes notion of assisting the transforming and nourishing powers of heaven and earth, regulating what heaven has mandated and using it. The former marks a distinction between the external natural world and the actual world we live in, and implies that the formation of the world necessarily involves human participation. Although the world humans live in is not a purely original or natural world, it is a world humans participate in creating. The latter affirms the role of humans in nature. Humans can change the world based on understanding its rules of existence. Confucius thinkers, like Taoist and Jewish thinkers, revered and respect nature and too warned against the exploitation of nature. The Book of Rights talks of cutting trees and killing animals at the proper season. Likewise, Mencius advises that hatchets and axes are permitted in the forest on the hills only on the proper season, meaning that felling trees should be based on the reverence to the laws of nature and not on human purposes alone. This reflects an awareness of ecology and respect for nature, which is further articulated in the Confucian notion of being humane towards people and caring towards the thing. The first book of the Mencius reflects the concern for fulfilling the basic needs of the subject in the kingdom through a dialogue with King Hui of Liang, in which Mencius is called to give advice to the king. And Mencius reminds the king that care for the existing population comes before the desire to increase the population, and thus advise him to care for the needs of his people instead of holding greedy intentions to conquer more land. If you do not interfere with the busy seasons in the field, then there will be more grain that the people can eat. If you do not allow nets with too fine a mesh to be used in large ponds, then there will be more fish and turtles than they can eat. If hatchets and axes are permitted in the forest only on the hills and only on the proper seasons, there will be more timber than they can use. When the people have more grain, more fish and turtles that they can eat, and more timber that they can use, and that they can support their parents when alive, mourn them when they are dead, and they will have no regret. If the mulberry is planted in every homestead of 5 mu of land, then those who are 50 can wear silk. If chickens, pigs, and dogs do not miss their breeding seasons, then those who are 70 can eat meat. How am I on time? Because maybe I should go. Okay, so a few remarks of the elimination of poverty and zero hunger in China, and the environmental politics that has entered the Chinese constitution in 2018 that articulated the principle of ecological civilization as a superstructure ideal framework for China's environmental politics, laws, and education. They integrate moral values with technological and political goals as a part of a shared feature for humanity. They have managed to eliminate poverty and to attain the zero hunger rules, the zero hunger goal, way before the date set by the UN SDGs.